My dear students, in the last lecture we applied three perspectives on the institution of uh, health and medicine. I just want to give another example. Let's apply these three institutions on the institution of sports. These three perspectives on sports is huge institution. It is composed of, you can say, in society different types of games are played, and then there are certain games which are played at national level, and there are matches and there are tournaments, and in Lahore we know that there are ESL match, and for 3 days or more traffic is blocked. So we understand sports are very significant feature of human society. So how these three perspectives would see and make research on sports? Functionist perspective is fairly simple here, that what would be the social consequences of sports, the institution of sports, how sports can contribute for the equilibrium of society. So this would be their line in which they would think, and they would think that it is good for fitness of people. It is, for example, it contributes to it channelizes the energy of young people, for example, and it is a source of entertainment, and uh, it gives sportsman spirit to the youth particularly, so on and so forth. So sports and the matches, the tournament between different nations provide a good healthy interaction amongst the community of nations at international level. So these type of consequences are simple, and there can be even more complex things can be studied at functionist level, functionist perspective. Second perspective, let's discuss symbolic interactionism first. Symbolic interactionism would be interested in understanding the relationship between players and relationship between, for example, captain, the language they use with each other. How, for example, spectators, they use different symbols. The crowd, when they are watching a match in stadium, what are their behavior? They shout different things. So how different actors in a particular situation, how they interact with one another, how uh, uh, the team members of the opposite teams, they interact with one another, their gestures, their body language, all that we should be studied at micro level by the symbolic interactionism. Now we apply conflict perspective, the Marxist perspective on sports. First of all, we can see that different classes have different sports. Upper classes usually play, uh, for example, what games do you think they play? Golf, for example, and that is not available to the middle class people. Middle class are usually uh, hockey and football and cricket, and then there are lower class. In the villages, people play, for example, kabaddi or volleyball is very popular, or and even there can be lower strata which play different games, stapu and pitu garmagaram and bandar killa. All these sports are sports actually, but they are associated with statuses, social class status. So all that can be studied, that how a particular sport can be symbolic for it. It is a kind of cultural capital associated with a particular social class. So because class, we will discuss in detail, class is not just uh, an economic class, it is a social class, it has a culture of its own, right? So it means that sports are part of a particular capital which is owned by or contained by in a social class. So sports can be analyzed like this. Similarly, we can all conflict perspective particularly can also study sports, uh, can also study sports by observing that how multinational corporations can use different tournaments. They can exploit people. If 5 day match of cricket is going on and people are watching television and they are watching the ads, Coca-Cola and for example So they can, it's less likely that they would consume lassi or shikanji or the drinks of this society. For example, ganne ka ras and sardai, and these are very nutritious and delicious drinks, but they have been taken away, and Coca-Cola has replaced them. We can study, a sociologist can study that how this transformation, this social change has come. And for example, they can observe that the sports and entertainment and media is behind all these uh, changes in our food habits. So there is sociology of food, how our taste for a particular commodity has been created. So all that can be studied by in the sociology of sports. And then there are international things. We can study that how sometimes there is a problem of match fixing and there is politics going on in the sports. That can also be studied by conflict sociologist. So now one can ask a question that which particular perspective is true. So I think this question is not a right question. These are perspectives, these are angles, and these are simultaneously right. So that's why we call them perspective. That's why they are different windows. So in order to understand a particular phenomena, we can use all the perspectives, and then we can say that one perspective is particularly good in a particular topic. For a particular topic, you can use a particular theory, and for some other topic the other perspective can be more effective and it can be better. So this is how, we can also think of these perspectives as different tools. As we have to perform a task, we use different tools. So if we have to, for example, use a big tool, sometimes we use just a needle. So sometimes we use only symbolic interactionism, and that can enlighten us more about a particular social situation. So these three perspectives should be used uh, simultaneously, or we should consider when to use a particular perspective in what type of research. That's why whenever we conduct research, we have to explain why have we used a particular theory to research in a particular way. So this is how. So we'll continue with this discussion, inshallah. Thank you very much.